September 4th, 2024. Okay. The Lord put in my spirit to ask my ex. Okay. Well, he called her by name, but I'll just say my ex. He put in my spirit, hey, ask your ex, okay, what did I put on her heart? Okay. So I said, hey, and I felt led by the Lord to ask, he had put some on your heart, right? And I felt led to ask you, or he told me to ask you. So here I am asking you. And she told me he had put on her heart income and rest. All right, income and rest. All right, and you'll see later on why that comes in a couple dreams down. But the reason why he told her income and rest was because eventually there's gonna come a point, in these dreams and also like in a relationship where it's like, okay, we're gonna part ways. And part of it is because of, just different differences in serving the Lord and walking with the Lord and stuff like that. I'll just leave it at that. But yeah, that'll come later on. But yeah, he put those words on her heart, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. Income and rest. Yep, because yeah, this thing coming to an end. But anyhow, right. So my ex felt that that I disrespected her relationship, right, with God, right, and then she would question, she would get upset that I would question her relationship. So at the time, like I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of like being very legalistic in a sense. I was like, well, the text says blah blah blah, the text says this and blah blah blah, right? But the thing about that I couldn't accept is I just couldn't accept is like how can we say that we love God and then we turn around and do things against his will, right? Or serve things against his will, right? Or entertain things against his will. You see what I'm saying? So that was kind of bothering me a little bit. And the Bible says that we can't serve two masters. So that's where a lot of the problems were starting to develop right there, right? So but anyhow, long story short, I ended up going to get my battery replaced 'cause I needed a battery replaced in my car. So I went and got it done. Now, I also need to get brakes done as well. So I had been calling around, and this one place quoted me like 1,000 some dollars. I was like, what? That's crazy. Now, I could do the brakes myself, but I didn't really want to put the time into it. Right, because I was like, man, like at the time, I was just like, it's a lot. It has a lot going on, so I didn't really want to do the brakes. So what ended up happening is, like, after I got my battery replaced at Advanced Auto Parts, I passed by a place called L&M. Now, L&M, right? As soon as I passed by it, the Lord was like, "That's the one." I said, "Okay, Lord." So I circled around, but the parking lot was full. They had cars everywhere because it was in the afternoon. So I said, "All right." I was like, "I'll keep going." I was like, "I'll just call them later on." So I called them when I got to the house, and nobody picked up. So I was like, "All right, I'll just call in the morning." Okay, and that's gonna lead into my next stream. All right, but yeah, the Lord pointed out that shop to me, L&M. Now there's a blessing in that. Now watch, in this next stream is coming up.